We've got some rare footage of a Hamas commander in the tunnels under Gaza City, and a recent poll showed that the majority of Palestinians support the Hamas attack on October 7th. What's going on, everyone? Let's take a look at some updates as it relates to the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. I'm recording this at 9 a.m. Central on Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. Overnight, Israel said that 3 of their soldiers were killed during combat operations in and around Gaza, releasing the names and the pictures of the fallen. The Gaza Health Ministry updated their casualty numbers, saying that since October 7th, at least 16,248 Palestinians have been killed, with another 43,616 wounded. Now, note the Gaza Health Ministry is overseen by Hamas. It is not an independent third party, but rather a portion of one of the two belligerents in this conflict. That's not to speak to the accuracy or inaccuracy of their numbers, simply recognizing where the data points are coming from. Now, shifting to a map here put together by War Mapper on Twitter. This one's about 24 hours old, which in reality means it's probably 3 or 4 days behind actual operations on the ground. But what we can see from both the movement by Israeli forces as well as the areas that they have asked the Palestinians to evacuate from is a rather rapid advance on the ground, much faster than we saw in the initial days of this war. Early on, in the days following October 7th, there was a substantial bombing campaign that took place all across the Gaza Strip long before any sort of ground offensive took place, which is understandable given what Israel is moving into. That's changed a little bit in the past few days since the expiration of the most recent ceasefire. We've seen Israeli ground forces move in very, very quickly following, the bombing campaigns are still ongoing, but the ground elements continue to advance in multiple directions. During the course of the last 24 hours, Israel says that they're able to engage over 250 targets that included tunnel entrances that were identified and destroyed, multiple rocket firing locations, and they uncovered the largest weapons cache since the start of this war. In a statement from the Israeli Defense Forces, they say, in the activities of the combat team fighters of the 460th Brigade of the 50th Battalion, one of the largest stockpiles of weapons was located near a clinic and a school in the northern Gaza Strip. The stockpile contained hundreds of missiles and RPG launchers of various types, dozens of anti-tank missiles, dozens of explosive devices, long-range missiles aimed at the center of the state of Israel, dozens of grenades, and unmanned aerial vehicles. Then shifting over to Hamas, they say that over the past 24 hours, they have been able to carry out at least 20 attacks against Israeli forces, saying that they were able to completely or partially destroy 24 Israeli vehicles in Khan Yunis, which is the southern portion of the Gaza Strip, where we're starting to see a lot more activity over the past few days. But these 20 plus attacks over the past 24 hours is this continued increase in operational tempo on the ground. We're not just seeing it from Israeli reports, but also from Hamas reports as well. Additionally, in the course of these engagements, Hamas says that they engaged Israeli forces with direct fire and explosive devices in which multiple Israeli soldiers were killed or wounded. So we got the first videos and pictures showing Hamas senior leaders in the tunnels under the Gaza Strip. So yesterday, Israel released some intelligence that they're able to uncover on captured Hamas laptops in Gaza City. The first video that I'm playing here shows the deputy commander of the Northern Gaza Brigade, Wael Rajab, walking through some of these tunnels. He was eliminated by Israel a couple weeks ago. And then Israel showed a picture showing a bunch of the senior commanders from the Northern Gaza Strip Brigade dining in one of these tunnel areas under the city. And they circled all of the ones that Israel has so far eliminated since the start of this war. Now, the tunnels have never really been a secret. Hamas has bragged about them and shown pictures from those tunnels well before this portion of the conflict started. So I'd imagine as Israel continues to move across the Gaza Strip, eliminate and recover intelligence from some of these Hamas fighters on the surface, they're probably going to come across more and more of these pictures and videos showing Hamas as well as their leadership operating in and around some of these tunnel networks. Then, according to a recent poll, the majority of Palestinians support what Hamas did on October 7th with their massacre into Israeli territory. So this was a poll put out by the Arab World for Research and Development. It was put together on 14 November. It interviewed 668 total people, not a huge sample size. 60% of those were from the West Bank, 40% of those were from Gaza. And look, at baseline, there's always going to be challenges with polls. Got it. Layer on top of that they're getting this polling data from the middle of a war zone, an active war zone. So All of that has to be considered when looking at this information, but a couple interesting questions and data points came out of this. So the first question here, how much do you support the military operation carried out by the Palestinian resistance led by Hamas on October 7th? And combining the data points here from the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, 75% of respondents said that they either extremely support or somewhat support what Hamas did on that day. Then there's a long list of organizations and countries where they asked the respondents, do you have a positive or negative view of places like the United States, Israel, China, Russia? Spoiler, maybe I'll put that up here. None of them have a positive view of the United States or Israel, but quite a few have a positive view of Russia, China, and a handful of other countries. But they asked about, a handful of militant wings in Gaza. So this is one of those that I thought was worth getting into, because you'll often hear people say the support is for the Palestinian people or the support is for Hamas, but not necessarily their military activities. This kind of pushes back on that. In looking at the response here, 75% of those surveyed have a positive view of Islamic Jihad. That is a purely militant arm. There is no governance aspect to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And in fact, in a lot of ways, they're more extreme than Hamas. 79% have a positive view of the Al-Aqsa Brigades, which is another Palestinian militant wing in Gaza. And 88% have a positive view of the Qassam Brigades, which is the militant arm of Hamas. This is not the governing entity. These are the combatants. These are the people firing rockets. These are the ones that launched the assault into Israeli territory. So the vast majority of Palestinians surveyed in this poll support the militant wings of these organizations. And then the last one that I thought was worth getting into here, and I'll link the full survey in the description below for anybody interested in digging through the whole piece there. But they asked, do you support the solution of establishing one state or two states in the following formats? One state solution for two people, 5%. Two state solution for two people, 17%. A Palestinian state from the river to the sea, 74%. So I think that speaks to the challenges of how and when this conflict is ever going to end. Again, very small sample size, 600 some people taking a survey in the middle of an ongoing war. But when 75% essentially of respondents say that their solution here is a Palestinian state from the river to the sea across, already existing Israeli territory, it's a hard line. It's going to be hard to see how the two sides can compromise on something like that. But that's all I got for now. Of course, if interested in national security subjects, be sure to check out the sit reps I put out on Substack. Link is in the description below. Substack now also has ad-free, sponsor-free videos published about 1 hour before they go live on YouTube. But thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time.